So here we are in this brand new studio. I know I've been promising my people that I was going to do this for the last 6 months. But, after what had happened to me last September, it took me probably 3 months in concussion protocol and another 3 months just to get my head screwed on straight, which there are probably people out there that'll probably say that I never had my head screwed on straight to start. But welcome to our new studio. Where this is the Rideout Report. My name is Neil Rideout. I've spent years of my life trying to understand what the whole ideology of rural conservatism is. And after I left the Liberal Party when I was 40 years old and moved over to the Conservative Party in Nova Scotia, or in Canada, I firmly believe that both on the U.S. side of the border and the Canadian side of the border, conservatism is still alive in rural communities, and that's why I like to say I'm a strong rural conservative. Now, that being said, this report is going to be about politics, daily events, weekly events, what's going on in the world, and I set forth to just enjoy myself. There was one time when I started broadcasting out from my bar in my house, and it was called the Let's Ponder Report. And what I've done is I've just basically changed the name to the Rideout Report, and I've kept all the Let's Ponders on the social media site. So if you want to go back and look at my dying support for President Trump, that they're all there when we were supporting him during the U.S. federal election. And to say that I haven't had an inkling of doubt, I initially supported Ted Cruz in 2016. So, that being said, Donald Trump won the 2016 election, and America became a great country again. Getting to understand that it has a place. Real Republicans in the U.S. or real strong rural conservatives in Canada are kind of like a dying breed right now, and that's why, it took me 6 months to really understand what I'm going to be talking about. It's not like we're stuck in quicksand, where it's not like we're running amok, like a Sherman tank running amok in the petunias. We have a strong force and a strong voice, and I guess everybody now has to have a voice, or else, the liberals are just going to rig the elections. They're just going to try to control everything that we believe in, and we'll end up in a quicksand called socialism. I don't believe in socialism, nor do I think anybody else believes in socialism, but that's where we're going, into the realm of socialism. If we don't speak up, if we don't have our say, then we will evolve into that. Ronald Reagan once said, if we're going to basically do ourselves in, it's going to come from within. And I believe that. So that being said, welcome to the new studio. I love that. I love the globe behind me. It's spinning. It's a fantastic place. If anybody wants to do a report, bring their own stuff and do their own report in my studio, you're quite welcome to do it. We've got a Herod capacity of probably 5 people that can sit in the studio audience. But that's okay, because it's just a small little studio. And so that being said, I'd like to welcome myself, Neil Rideout. I've been loved and hated. I've still got some former employees out there that really don't like me, but there's some out there that really, that's okay with the fact that I tried everything in my power to to do best when I was in business. So let's move on. Let's deal with some topics. First of all, let's deal with Canada. You know, somebody once said to me, Canada's a great country as soon as we get it unpacked and ready for business. Well, if we keep going the way it's going, it's never going to get unpacked, because currently the Liberal government is throwing us so far deep into debt that our great-grandkids will still have to pay the duty on our current debt. So that's why in the upcoming federal election, we've got to decide, do we want the current Liberal regime to move us forward, or do we want a conservative government to move forward? Now, I did listen to a program today about Mr. Singh, I think it was, who lobbied for violence in Canada, which I totally detest. I do not condone it, nor do I wish this country to fall into the anarchy which some states in the United States has fallen into, like Oregon and Washington State and Illinois. You know, those wonderful states run by Democratic governors? Yet it can be a handful at times. So, you know, in September we have a federal election in Canada. Now, we have a choice between Liberals and Conservatives. I think that's the only choice. If you want to escalate the debt in which Mr. Trudeau has been throwing on us, then vote Liberal. But that's not going to help you in the future. Inflation's going to rise. The Canadian dollar is going to deflate. You know, look at the price of lumber nowadays at Home Hardware and Home Depot. It's crazy. This has got to stop. So you know, in my view, and of course these are only my views. They're no different than your views. You have the right, and if you want to come into the studio and debate me, I have another microphone right here, and I welcome it. So if I'm wrong, prove to me I'm wrong, or show me in all the infinite wisdom that I'm wrong. And I've made mistakes in the past. We've all made mistakes, you know, and I don't claim to be the video blogger of gurus. You know, I just came on here to have a conservative voice. When I built this amazing studio over the last 6 months, I built it for a reason. So people can have a voice. Whether it be a conservative voice, God forbid a liberal voice, but still a voice. You still have the right to voice your opinions. And I think that's what freedom of speech stands for. As I was watching the news today, I was watching Commander Trudeau, or Prime Minister Trudeau, or whatever he wants to call himself today, cancel a rally in Ontario because he was afraid of protesters. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Trudeau. We're a strong conservative movement, and our protesters speak their voice. Yes, they might speak up and say weird things, like the F word every now and then. We might say things that you might not like. But I will tell you one thing. We are not an aggressive, violent bunch of people. We will stand up and tell you to your face what you're doing wrong. We will stand up and tell you to your face that you're everything but a good leader of this country. And we might scream it with profanities at times. But just as long as we're not hurting anybody else, it's called freedom of speech. Freedom of speech grants me the right to call Mr. Trudeau anything I want, in public, in private, and we reserve that right, and he has the right to basically cancel, campaign rallies or whatever, based on the fact that we're going to exert our freedom of speech. Now, keep in mind, I just said it earlier, I don't condone violence. I don't condone that Maxine Waters statement of get in their face sort of thing. But you have to get your point across. And sometimes you have to stand behind a barricade and scream to the tops of your lungs. And sometimes screaming to the tops of your lungs includes profanity. There's only two entities in this world that have to deal with you screaming profanities at the Prime Minister. That's your God-given minister, or your priest, and God. So, it's all good. Okay, that's what I've got to say on Canada. Now let's address what's going on in the U.S. Holy crap, has that place gone to hell in a handcart faster than a camel of fish off Lay's Wharf. Biden has got to be the most imbecilic president we've come across in the last 100 years. Whether he's got dementia, whether or not I don't know. I honestly don't know how he ever won the election. Donald Trump got 78 million votes and Joe Biden got 80 million. There was one time when elections were won in the states with 80, 90, even 100 million votes. So you're telling me there was almost 160 million votes cast in the U.S. in the last election? If it smells like a skunk and walks like a skunk, got a black strip down its back, it sure to hell definitely isn't a duck. So, I attended Mike Lindell's cybersecurity. Now, Mike Lindell, I don't know if you know Mike Lindell, but if you watch Fox News, Mike Lindell is the My Pillow guy. The My Pillow guy. He hosted a cybersecurity symposium about 2 weeks ago, which I attended, all days of. And he put forth a very, very genuine case for how that election was rigged. Now, I don't know, if the election was rigged or not. It smells, like I said, if it looks like a skunk and walks like a skunk and smells like a skunk, it definitely ain't a duck. So, he did a lot of good investigation into it to try to uncover whether or not there was anomalies in the Dominion voting system. And he came up with some pretty compelling points of view. Now, like I said, I don't know if there was nefarious stuff going on with the U.S. federal election that ousted, the best president that the United States has ever seen in Donald Trump. I sure hope not, because the United States and its foothold on democracy is the crown jewel in the world's free enterprise and democratic system. If we lose the United States, then Canada and Mexico and all the other great countries that rely on their mechanism, well, we're gone too. But he did, if you get a chance, I posted it on my Facebook, if you want to get a chance to go back a couple weeks ago and take a look at the cybersecurity symposium brought by Mr. Lindell, then you're welcome to it. On that note, I've got a whole bunch of links there posted in my stream. If you want to donate, we sure to hell could use some new computers over here, because I want to bring people on via Zoom, but with the power that we have here, we can't pull that off, because we just got a simple little computer running the whole show here. If you see fit, we've got all this cool Rideout Report and Donald Trump merchandise in our online store. That's the link to that's above. You can donate via e-transfer. I think we've got PayPal up there. We've got Patron on the main site, and also, make sure you click the little bell in YouTube and subscribe, because we're going to be doing this quite often, and I might not be every day, but we're going to try to cover a lot of issues. And if you want to come in the studio with me, grab a microphone and dump your thoughts out on this little platform, you're quite welcome to do so. Now let's get back to the U.S. for a minute. The U.S. with Biden has just created the biggest peacetime blunder of any wartime scenario. Let's look at the facts. Biden pulled all the military out of, or was in the process of pulling all the military out of Afghanistan. Hold on a second. We're going to leave the special immigration, passports, the SIVs, the special immigration visas, and we're going to leave American citizens behind. And then we're just going to pull our military out. We're going to sacrifice Bagram Air Force Base. And we're just going to say, screw it, let's get out. And then all of a sudden, somebody spoke up and said, but you can't, sir, leave all these Americans in this war-torn country. It's going to be the biggest hostage situation in the planet. Even worse than 1979 in Iran. So then he rethought the situation, which probably took him like 6 or 7 days, knowing how slow his brain thinks. And then they decided, okay, well, we'll leave on September 1st or August 31st. Well, that gives us like a month and a half to get everybody out of the country. Well, they've got 117,000 people out of Kabul, or HKIA, as we like to refer to it, as the Hamid Karzai Airport, HKIA. I've flown into that airport a few times, flown into Bagram a few times, especially from Diego Garcia. And, to position your exit point in the middle of a freaking city has got to be the most contagious and the most risky logistics scheme in the world. Like, if you want people to attack you, well, let's just do it from a major airport. Instead of keeping Bagram and flying in and out of that Air Force base, we choose to have an international, right in the middle of the city. And then, of course, on top of all that, we let Taliban 2.0, the whole organization that we fought against for years, for the last 20 years, we knew they were going to take over Afghanistan once we left. But we left them in charge of our security. 13 soldiers died because Joe Biden left the Taliban in charge of checkpoint security at the airport. He's got blood on his hands. There's no doubt about that. My whole ideology is push them back, push them back, push them back, and let the U.S. military set up their own perimeter points. Don't let the terrorists set up their own perimeter points, and then we have to beckon to them to let people in. God, no. What kind of logistical nightmare is that? Okay, let our enemy control, or let a terrorist group control waypoints and entry points into our exit strategy? Okay. That's just crazy. On a good day, that would be a logistical nightmare. You know, we had that, I think it's 8.5 square kilometers of Bagram Air Force Base.